welcome to Dropout 22, a GD Media production, and tonight it is an all Worcester Students RFC affair when we look back at the second weekend of the Six Nations with Guy Griffiths and Luke Milton. Making his debut on tonight's show is Malvern's first team captain Luke Milton. We'll be having a look at how his boys are doing. Joining him is his old teammate Guy Griffiths, and we'll be having a look at how his Llantrisant are doing this season as well. Also, we'll be covering all the discussion points from the second weekend of the Six Nations, and we are patless, so we are making up our features as we go. It's going to be a belter. Welcome aboard! Gentlemen, welcome to Dropout 22, a Pat Andrews-less Dropout 22, the first one ever. He's let us down big time and we'll let him have it next week, but it is my absolute pleasure to welcome to the show for his debut, Luke Anthony Milton. Milts, welcome aboard.
Good evening, how are we?
Very well, thank you. Pal, yourself?
Yeah, good, not bad.
Good man, and he is joined by Worcester Students Rugby Football Old Boy alumni, co-alumni, Guy Griffiths. Guy, how are we?
Good, thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm alright, yeah. I'm a little bit cold. I'm making my way back from Guildford. I've stopped off. We are not in the plush studio this week, but in a lay-by just off the A27. It is very luxurious. I'm surrounded by trees.
Rock and roll.
It's how we live. It's how we live. Boys, let's start off with the game on Saturday. It was probably the best Six Nations game so far, but that's not really saying much because it was still a pretty turgid affair. Guy, what did you make of the performance? A win's a win's a win's a win, I suppose?
Yeah, well, we won, at least, as you just mentioned. I said on the show last week I thought we were going to take the same attitude as we took into Ireland, into Scotland, and we've seemed to have gone back to normal, boring Wales, to be honest. We scored 3 fairly decent tries, quite well crafted. The only issue was that the fact is we went back to kicking the leather off it, chasing pretty terribly, and relying on Scotland errors where we just burst up the field and then go and nick a try. George North's try was just basically Scotland deciding not to defend where they should be defending. Jamie Roberts ploughed over a prop, as per, and Gareth Davies was about 3 weeks offside. So I think we were probably lucky to win in the end, because I think Scotland came back into it quite well. It's just a bit disappointing, really, the fact that I picked them up, said really nice to see the boys throwing the ball around, and then we've gone back to just absolute hoofing up in the air, giving it a bit of a taste, and then seeing what happens.
Now,
you're just go
on, Milt.
You're just imagine being a Scotland fan. Tom
God.
Shepherd.
Oh God. It was. I did invite Martin McDonald onto the show tonight, but shock horror, he didn't accept my invitation. It was that 15-20 minutes at the start of the second half. I just didn't know. I think I tweeted it at the time. I said, "What have these boys been told to do at half time? Kick aimlessly, defend passively, and just stop playing." I mean, what happened?
I'm not quite sure. Tom James got caught by the slowest 12 in the Premiership from behind.
He looked like he was trying to run so fast as well.
I think he's got a bit of a chicken running action, hasn't he? So he sort of nods his head as he goes. I
haven't seen a chicken run much, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, he was willing himself to the try line, and then just got ground eaten up from behind him by Duncan Taylor. I think he'd give Corsi a run for his money. I've got one for you. Is the Tipperick experiment, or should we say experiment, or is it working? You two have been on about it for years in playing. Is him and Warburton working? Because I didn't see a great deal of him in the game from what I saw. Either of them. No, that's a good point, Mel. There's a lot of people saying it's not. However, are we playing the way to get the 2 sevens into the game? We did a little bit last week. We did a little bit against the Ireland match, and they did show up quite well. you just saw the amount of tackles our entire back row made. They were everywhere. They weren't really doing much going forward, but that's basically because we're still trying to play Dan Lydiard's type of game with Justin Tapiric playing 7. It's a bit bizarre. It's like playing Matty Gator at 12 for us, and then asking him to play the same way as Jamie Roberts is playing. It's just the horses for courses kind of job just doesn't fit, and I think I'd love to see JT have a long go in that Welsh shirt. However, what would you do then? What would you do? I'd change it up a bit. To be honest, I'd honestly give the boys a bit more freedom. Tell Bigger that if he kicks it anymore, that no matter how good he is, he's coming off.
No, I'm on about selection. What would you do?
I'd leave them two in there for now. I'd leave them two in there and now. Yeah, for the simple reason that if we don't give her a go now, it's never going to happen. We're never going to give her a go.
Well, we've got to realise as well is that the Sam Warburton's played only a handful of games in 2016. He's only played a handful of games this season, so he is still sort of inching his way back into it, and he's not on top of his game. And in the 6 jersey, it's quite easy, isn't it, just to hide behind your tackles and your rucks and your sort of your bustly, muscly carries. But
as we've got 3 very physical specialists on the phone.
Absolutely, yeah. Tackles galore, 3 among us a season. Milts, what did you make of the game? I mean, obviously you played against the Scots in the opening week. What did you make of the Welsh performance? What did you make of the well, keep it very brief. What did you make of the Scottish performance?
I always thought Wales were going to win. Like I know the scoreline suggests that, but with the Scots, there's just nothing that convinces me they're going to win a tight game. I feel like even if they got a kick, they'd miss it. Even if they find a way to, they haven't got that go-to guy. I don't feel like Wales have got Roberts when the going gets tough, who run over a prop. I just don't feel like Scotland have got that person. Like I said, it must be horrible being a Scotland fan because they can compete with anybody, but they just lose. They lose. They should have won that Australian game. How they lost that, I don't know. They did their best to lose that, and it's just I don't know. The coaches got them playing good rugby, but it's much of a muchness for them. They've got no. How many Scotland players get in the Lions team?
Not many.
Yeah, that's many.
And you've got players as well in that team. Like, I'm sorry, but Sean Maitland, since he's made the step across from Super Rugby into international rugby, I don't know. Yes, he got an Alliance tour, but he is such a bad rugby player.
It was like when they had that interception against England. Is it Finn Russell the 10?
Yeah.
And he hoofed it.
And he just hoofed it. And then they were joking about it. They were kind of laughing about it. I was like, that's a game there. That's the game. Yeah. If Scotland would sneak at them would go mental. Or, the other way around.
Yeah, but it was written on his hand. Point number 12.5 was, if you get an interception inside your own 22, then kick it down the field. Anyone see that? The essay they had written on the back of his hand? I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I saw that. That's bizarre.
That was bizarre.
He must have been getting in the spirit for the NFL for the Super Bowl that we spent far too much talking about. Thanks to Pat Andrews, but he is not with us tonight, and we were meant to be going over to Pat's stats, but obviously without the Bible there is no Pat's stats, so I've had to rummage in my own brain for some stats this week, and they are not in the world of rugby, but in the world of football. They are little sporting anecdotes. I've got no idea whether they are correct or not, but I have been told by a very, very reliable source that they are. So, when Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, the Dutch striker, was at Cardiff City, way back when they were back in the Ninian Park, when yours truly was down the Grange Enbrive, Jimmy Floyd had to get his shorts specially made. But why is that, you ask? Well, it is because his arse was too big to fit in the normal custom shorts. So there it is.
Isn't he a manager at like Boston or something?
He's somewhere weird. Yeah, he is somewhere weird.
He's been bouncing around loads of lower league clubs.
He can kick a ball well hard though.
Well, in fact, it's funny you mentioned that because Mark Schwarzer was on the radio this morning on TalkSport, and he put him in his all-time players I've played with 11, or he might have put him on the bench, I'm not sure, for the sole reason that he has never seen anyone kick a ball so hard from 12 yards in his life. He said,
he's got a big arse, isn't he?
it all comes from the arse. You ask Matty Roberts. And while we're on...
football.
Yeah, he should. in his anorak and white shorts. Little in joke for you there. Anyone else listening that doesn't get it, just nod along, and we'll move on to Gavin Ensign. Gavin Ensign, when he went to Saracens, short spell a couple of seasons ago, he used to get his match shirts specially tailored, just like Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. Was it because his ass was too big? No, it was not. Gavin Ensign decided that the sleeves on the Saracens shirt did not make his biceps look big enough, so he'd get them tailored down to fit more snugly to make his arms look bigger. So there we are. 2 stats for you this week.
That's where Farrell's going wrong.
Let's go on to...
Was that before or after silver hair?
Oh, that was way after. He was only 18 when the silver hair was kicking off. That was when he was playing for Swansea down at St Helens. Let's talk about...
Evans into sideboards for fun.
Yeah, and then getting Salesi Mafu on his case.
Don't get Gav started, I'll tell you his life story.
Gavin Lloyd Henson. No, let's not get onto it. Let's get back onto talking about Owen Farrell. We mentioned him just briefly. Scored a try on the weekend thanks to a nice bit of work from Jamie George and an alright game. Mills, what did you make of the win? Eddie Jones 2 from 2.
It's frustrating first half, but Italy are pretty tough opposition away from home. But second half was good. I don't like the forward Farrell, or I've sort of spoke to you about it before. I think it says more about our centre options than those two actually being there. I think it's a safe option to start with. I hope he doesn't. I think if Slade was fit, Slade would be there. We're playing this very like Saracens of last couple of years type of game plan where you kick a lot, and Ford did kick well, not even kick land just outside the 22. We put a lot of pressure on, but I don't see it. Like, look, a couple of times you got Farrell crashing the ball up. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think you need 2 ball players the way you play it. But I don't think he necessarily rates the options. What are they? Burrell and 12 Trees. And I think that would be interesting if Tuolangi was fit, whether he'd still play his ball player at 12, because I don't think he would. I don't think you can have Davies and Joseph in the same centre, and Joseph is, even though Davies playing well. So, but back went well. I think if Haskell was 21, people would be raving about him. I think he's playing well. I think it's just because he's not ready. He's physical. Cruz is cementing his place for the foreseeable. I think I like him. Big ball, quick like him. Front row, we look pretty strong. I think Cole seems to be able to scrum. Yeah, Echo and Marler were pretty solid in the front row. Dylan's looking a bit fat, and the line-up was pretty poor. But to watch. It's just I don't know. We'll have to see how the tournament progresses. I think you boys will probably beat us at Twickenham the way I think you just beat us. We'll see.
Milt, the line's breaking up a little bit there. If you can get up to higher ground, that'd be ideal. But in the meantime, Guy, what did you make of the English performance and the especially that 10-12 axis?
I don't disagree with what Milt said then. He gave quite a good overview. At the end of the day, Owen Farrell scored, George Ford scored, and Ben Youngs won man of the match. See,
how did Ben Youngs be man of the match?
I got no idea.
I don't know. I think his mum might have voted a million times.
Chins JJ, score a hat-trick and you don't get fuck all.
Yeah. I still don't think JJ was the best 13 on the park. I thought he was completely outplayed and got on the end of 3 nice moves by England, to be honest.
Outplayed?
Yeah, I thought Danny Kerr set him up lovely with that with his walk-in. Is the only one he really had to finish was a nice team move, which basically gave him a one-on-one, and then the other one was another stroll-in as well. Other than that, I thought he had a very, very average game and got a bit physically dominated by his opposite number. He was spot on about Cruz. I thought he was excellent. I thought he basically took the challenge to the Italians and finally broke them down. Ben Youngs robbed man of the match, and basically I think he's...
Who would you have, Kerr or Youngs? Who would you have?
Kerr. Danny Kerr, definitely.
I'd have Kerr every day of the week as well.
I'd move off the floor if I were England, and being that physical, the way the pack play, they do take it to you. They really, really get into you. Most international teams try, but few are as effective as England are.
I think given the vice captaincy to Villapola's a bit of a master. He's playing probably his 2 best tests he's played within the last 2. I think he just carries well. He's defensively good. He turns the ball over. I think he's almost one of the few guaranteed stars for me now.
I think Eddie Jones has put him in a position where he's gone, this is what I wanted to do. Just concentrate on this. Don't look for the fancy stuff. Don't look for the try score. I just need you to be my setup for the rest of the boys to play. I like what you said about the 10-12 axis. There's no real person coming in. Like we said, Gareth Davies is pushing, but I still think he's miles better at fullback, because basically with a boy with that much talent, when you give him some space...
He covers everywhere on the bench as well.
Yeah. Would you put him in front of Alex Good? Because I think Alex Good, when he comes on, is fantastic. I think a broken field runner, there's no better.
He's only really coming on at 15, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what he's coming on at.
I know you got Watson as a player there, but you know what you're going to see. If he's doing it with like a Toji, and if he's letting people have a chance, I think Daly's got to have a chance on the bench. Be able to see what he can do.
Do you not think, Milt, that it's just a case of a missed opportunity? He picked that side knowing full well what they were capable of after he picked them against Scotland, and let's be honest, it would have taken an absolute miracle for you boys to lose to Italy on the weekend. Why not throw in a couple of boys just to see? Why not start an Itoji? You know what Laws is going to offer you. Why not start a Daly after?
I think it's quite clever. I think. He goes with almost a tried and trusted, and then if they let him down, then the young kids come in, and well, not the young kids, but you know what I mean. And then if the young kids come in and they let him down, then he's got to go back to the Rob Shaws and the Haskells of this world, and then suddenly that's difficult, isn't it? I think he just wants to win games, and then he can build from there. I like that, because all this planning for 4 years away, I think that's bollocks, to be honest. I think it's just keep winning breeds a good culture and mentality, doesn't it? So just keep winning. I think apart from you at home, I think we've got a big chance. I think we'll beat France in Paris, and Ireland at home. Ireland don't look that much shakes these days, do they? So we'd have as good a chance as any. But I don't know if it's all too a bit new. And when the pressure comes on, I think
we'll get the crystal ball out later on, and we'll have a look at the future Six Nations games. But this is the time of the show where we'd usually jump to Will Coursey for Coursey's quiz. And Milt, seeing as you are stepping in to Will Coursey's shoes, we will jump over to you. So, Luke Anthony Milton, how many eyes have you got?
I have 2.
2 eyes. Therefore, you will have 2 questions, sir. The first one. So, just for our listeners, Luke Milton is famous in Worcester for a moment of madness after Wales beat England at Twickenham in 2008. After Mike Phillips charged down Ian Bolshaw and led the Welsh to victory. We all watched it at the dive bar, the Worcester Students' Union, and while we celebrated wildly, the Welsh and a couple of the English hung around and shook hands to congratulate us on our win. Luke Milton was nowhere to be seen. Milt, do you want to just tell the readers where you'd gone?
It involved a snake bite induced letter to Brian Ashton, and he's never got back to me, actually.
So, about 14, 15 pints deep, Milts has gone back to his room and written a letter to the coach at the time, Brian Ashton, somewhere along the lines of, why the fuck are you still picking Ian Bolshaw? So,
I had a big bee in my bonnet about that, I remember that.
So, we will go back to that era, and your first question is, who came on at fly half in that match for England?
I'm going to say Toby Flood.
Incorrect. Guy, any advances?
Who started? Can you tell me who started? Wilkinson started. Andy Good.
Incorrect. We will lob it out to the listeners. Don't Google it. Let me know who came on at fly half for England in that game, and you will get a prize. Your second question, Milts. You've already called him fat, but how many caps has Dylan Hartley got now?
Oh, he's got to have about. I think he's had 50. He's got to be, I don't know, 50, 58. I'm going to go for.
Guy?
57.
58 and 57. I won't tell you who's closest, but you're both wrong, and we'll lob that one up to the listeners as well. Now, I got in contact with Milt earlier today to let him know that he would be subject to Corsi's quiz. Tell me what happened, Milt.
Well, I misread it, and I hadn't listened. Shamefully, I hadn't listened to last week's episode, and I thought I had to come up with the questions. So, as I'm on half term, the majority of my day, in between sitting on the sofa and running to and from the fridge, has been thinking of a question. So, here it is. I'll fight out to both of you, and you can just name as many as you can. Pre-2007 World Cup, England humiliated Wales 62-5 at Twickenham in the Brian Ashton era, a game which is spoken about. Can you name as many players from both teams' backlines?
Both teams' backlines?
We'll start. You can start with the English backline.
Go on, Guy. You go first.
Ugo Monye.
No. Hugo.
Hugo. I will go for Iron Mike Tyndall.
Nope.
Johnny Wilkinson.
Yes, correct.
Andy Gummersall.
Nope.
Sean Perry.
Yes, so you got the halfbacks.
I will go for... What year was it? 2007, you said?
Yeah. It was pre-World Cup. Matthew Tate played fullback, yeah. Started at fullback.
Mark Cueto?
Nope. Let's go for the centres.
Centres would have been Ricky Flutie, maybe?
No flute, man. The centres are wild. I don't think you're going to get
Andy Farrell.
Andy Farrell is one, yeah. Robin a living. One knee.
Like his son.
So he was playing at 12.
The 13 I can't see you getting. It should be.
Ollie Barkley?
No. At club, he Leicester, and then I think he went to Bath, actually.
Dan Hipkiss.
Yes.
Danny Hipkiss.
That is wild. I remember him playing for England.
And then on the wings was Robinson and Strettle.
Nice.
What about the Welsh back line?
Gareth Cooper.
No. Oh, yeah, Cooper was at 9.
Yeah. James Hook.
No.
2000.
I'll give you a clue for fly-off. Arm guard.
Kerry Sweeney.
Still around, 2007.
Good lad. Oh, he stepped. Yeah, I remember that.
Shanklin and Parker.
Shanklin was one, and then your captain was the other.
Gareth Thomas.
Yeah.
With a hammering. I remember the wingers. Guys, these are wild. David James.
Yeah.
Wild.
And Alid Brew.
Yes.
Brew.
That was it. Rugby player.
Who was 15? Kevin Morgan?
Oh.
Who was 15 then, Guy?
Who was around at that time? 2007.
Rhys Williams was done.
Who played in the 2008? Who's the Ospreys fullback? Lee Byrne.
Yeah, correct.
Nice.
Yeah. Because I'm just thinking 2008-13 Ospreys beating England at Twickenham and Luke Milton like the letter.
Yeah.
Just to remind you.
The final score that was 62-5, 62 to England and 5 to Wales. So.
Nice. Just to show that one up.
Nick Easter to get 4.
Yeah, Nick Easter got 4. Even bloody Phil Vickery got a try. I think
they
got on as well. They were just chucking him around really. It was just for the boys. I think there's a few of the 16s who got on second half as well. So.
Was Lawrence Delally still playing then?
Yeah, Lowell came on. I think he got 2 actually.
That's wild. He was old enough to have a son playing.
he was doing that many weights. He couldn't actually run, but he still looked good in the shirt though.
Yeah, we got absolutely pumped.
Never mind. We'll have a chance to redeem ourselves on March the 12th this year. Boys, Milt, you've already alluded to it 3 or 4 times, sort of admitting defeat already. So you reckon we're going to do you? By how many?
I think it'll be mega tight. I think I don't know. Honestly, I just think you've got a lot more settled style of play, settled players. You've got a lot of guys with over 50 caps in their position. Guys like Roberts and Fallatar are always going to have 7 or 8 out of 10s in those type of games. Well, put your life on the line and say Wales, but England at home, you never know.
Guy, what do you reckon?
Very, very tight. I think Dan Lydiate will play. I think.
You reckon? But I've been off Cypriot then.
But I think he'll revert to type for these two games coming up, France and England. I think we'll go Warren Ball for these two coming up. I'd like him to stick with Superior, but I think we're going to go back to Lydiate. I think it's going to be very, very tight. I think our scrum, being as good as it is at the moment, is a massive positive with Rob Evans. So he needs to stay fit, get through France and play against England. Very, very tight, yet quite a few points off the boot because Joubert is resting, I think. So probably 24.
How has he got that gig? How has Joubert resting that?
It's his first one back. It's his first one back, first international since that. So basically, we're going to go to Bournemouth. We're going to get absolutely hooned on the Friday for your friends. We're going to fall out about 12 o'clock on the Saturday. We're going to get drunk again, make up before the match, and then all of a sudden we're going to kick off, and then we're going to be subjected to an absolute penalty fest from Joubert. So get ready to be bored, and then somebody will be celebrating at the end.
At least he's got some balls about him, and he stays in the field and shakes the players' hands and stuff after the game. That's a good thing about him.
Luke Milton, you sarky bastard. Boys, let's drop down to the grassroots level. We are at 3 separate clubs, having played together for Worcester way back when. Let's start off with Malvern Milts. You are skipper up there at the moment. How are the boys getting on?
Mixed. I think we've only won 2 on the bounce once this season. We win and then lose, and then win and then lose. Just lacking a bit of depth. And for teams in Coventry, we tend to struggle a little bit. That's been the story of our season, really. But we play good rugby, which is nice. Particularly as a fullback, it's always nice to play good rugby. But yeah, it's good crack. That's what it should be about. Set of boys, good coaches, everyone gets on. It's a nice club. It's just be nice to win a few more games. We wanted to go up, but that's not going to happen now. So hopefully we'll just get in the top 4 and try and build, get a couple of guys in over the summer, and get back up the leagues again slowly but surely.
What league are you in at the moment?
Midlands 2. So we went boing boing. We banged out the National League and then banged out of Midlands 1 in 2 years. And 2 in 2 years. Lost a lot of players, lost a lot of money, and there's still only a couple of us still around from that time, really. So
yeah,
we're rebuilding.
All right.
The club's now getting like 3 teams out every week, and it's a lot stronger place than it was. So
that's what it's about. Quick fire round for you then, Milt. Best player this season?
Tom Howe, winger.
Worst trainer this season?
Worst trainer would have to be Richard Hobbs.
I thought you were going to drop Jordan Wachiku in there but I suppose you have to train to be a worst trainer.
Yeah, you've got to actually see people that spend some time out of your bedroom. That would be
most skillful.
Most skillful, Joe Budd, scrum half / fly off.
Worst drinker.
Worst drink, I've been quite badly behaved the last couple of nights, so I'd be up there. But worst drinker would have to be Dave Smith.
And who is the longest in the shower?
Richard Hobbs have to step up. He's got I'm looking at a flower pot, it looks a bit like that.
Good man. There we are, Malvern RFC. Home of many a wonderful win, not least against Loughborough back in 2008, was it?
First 2007.
2007.
Or maybe 8, it depends if it was before or after Christmas.
Oof. Makes me feel old. Guy, let's drop over to the postage stamp that is the home pitch of Llantrisant RFC.
Back on me.
How are the boys getting on, Guy?
We're doing all right, to be honest. We're up there. I think Port have pretty much sewn the league up. They're quite a few points clear, but we're in a 3-way tie for second at the moment. If we carry on the way we are,
due to us being a long way behind with games being called off, because our pitch at the moment looks like the Somme.
No change yet.
Basically, if we catch up the games playing like we are, I think we'll show second place up. But that's our target at the moment, to come for second.
What position are you playing, Guy?
I'm playing either outside half or full-back, depending on where the coaches see me. They usually pick me at full-back when it's absolutely teeming down with rain. It's mud up to my shins, and there's absolutely no chance of me catching the ball, because by the time the outside half kicks it, it's 30 yards sideways with the wind. So it's really nice of them when they pick me at full-back. So I really like it. I don't know why you play there at all, to be honest. But yeah, we're doing all right. Hopefully we'll show up second come the end. But we're very much a dry weather team. We like to check the ball around. We've got quite a good set of skillful backs, and we really take it to teams. We play a really nice brand of rugby.
And who is the best player in that team this season?
Best player at the moment, probably Guy Davies, a youngster who's stepped into the hooking role. He's playing out with skin at the moment. He's only recently taken up hooking, so his throwing isn't the best. It's Dylan Hartley-esque, but he's doing really well. So he's one to watch, and he's playing really well.
Who's the wildest bloke in the club?
Gareth Davies, still.
Who's the funniest bloke in the club?
Rhys Ferris.
Why?
You can make a television program out of Rhys Ferris and he'd become a millionaire. He is. Everything he does is just beyond surreal. It's just really strange. For example, this is beyond strange. Tonight, we usually train at a school on a nice setup, lovely brand new surface in there. It's half term, so we all rock up at the school tonight, and the lights are off. We haven't got a clue where it's going, so we rock up. Morph, our coach, one hell of a player in his day, turns up and goes, "Do you know what we used to do, boys? Let's go down to Arthur Llewellyn Jenkins, which is a furniture store, and we trained in their car park." In their car park, there are curbs, shin high, all over the place, and lights which you can't see until you run into them. So that's what happened tonight. And Rhys Ferris was amongst them.
Rhys Ferris what?
Rhys Ferris was amongst it tonight on his usual thing. Tom Smith is up there as well.
So tonight you trained at a furniture store car park.
Yeah, it was either that or go home, and we're so committed to the cause. We rocked up. We put our cars on the side.
What did you do? What did you train?
And we basically played touch in and out of the lampposts, and basically had a good time for 45 minutes and went home.
For those listeners that haven't played rugby in South Wales, and especially in the South Wales valleys, there is a little insight, and that's not too. In the words of Tom Jones, that is not unusual. Boys, we will draw a line under it there. I think it's an absolutely perfect place to stop it. Luke, Milts, thanks a lot for coming on. Pleasure to have you on board. Guy, thanks again for joining us.
No problem. Milts will have to come again. Him and Corsi, I think, will bounce off each other.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Milts, we'll have you back soon.
His comedy value and severe lack of knowledge.
Lovely. Boys, we'll have you back together soon. You lot at home, thanks a lot for listening. This has been Dropout 22, a GD Media production.